So, good morning, everyone. My name is Gaurav Batra. I'm founder and CEO of Cyberfrat. So, in under Cyberfrat, we have started this brand called CXO Junction. So, in CXO Junction, the motive is to get the like-minded people and the industry experts and the leaders to in a forum to discuss about this evolving scene of cybersecurity, risk management, and emerging technologies. What we do is we get into the forum in the different formats and try to get the challenges experts are facing or the leaders are having while implementing some things, and we also try to understand what kind of plans and how the future scene of emerging technology is driving. So these sessions we do in with the partnership of our subject matter experts who are already in the industry and SME in that particular area and helping the different leaders, organizations, and enterprises to achieve those set of areas and work fine on that. So the today's discussion point which we have is achieving growth with AI-driven enterprise. And with that, to drive this particular discussion, we have our partner, which is Juniper Networks. Juniper Networks is leading the revolution in networking, making it one of the most exciting technology companies in Silicon Valley, India. Juniper's sole mission has been to create innovative product and solution that meet the growing demand of connected world. In association with Inspira Enterprise India Limited, which is a leading digital transformation enterprise that combines bold thinking, path-breaking technologies, and year of expertise to transform business and organization around the world. It's headquartered in Mumbai. Inspira has satellite offices pan-India, Singapore, UAE, Africa, and USA with a team of over 500 professionals. Inspira was established in 2008. Their expertise lies in cybersecurity, networking, and data center. Smart solution that comprises of smart city solution, ITMS, digital healthcare, and Anycures, a single platform exclusively dedicated to next-gen digital transformation, blockchain, big data and analytics, cloud computing, and a lot of things Inspira manages. And we have from Inspira joining us Raghunath Dandwante. He's a senior solution architect in Inspira Enterprise India Limited. And we have our guests who are going to be in this discussion today is Balwinder Singh Banga, CTO, Ritco Logistics Limited. Welcome, sir. We have Dominic Vijay Kumar, VP and CTO, Art Housing Finance India Limited. We have
Good morning,
Sandeep.
everyone.
Morning, Dominic. We have Sandeep Jamadagni, Head ITIS, Ashiana Housing Limited. Thanks, Sandeep, for joining in. And we have Sanjeev Kumar Jain, Group CIO, Krishna Maruti Group. And from Juniper team to as a expert, we have Abhishek Dixit, who is Enterprise System Engineering Lead North Juniper Networks. So thank you everyone and welcome to CXO Junction platform, everyone. So Abhishek, I will like to set the context of the today that achieving growth with AI-driven enterprise. When we talk about what you meant by this and how you think that this discussion is going to help and we leverage on this.
So when we talk about AI-based networking, what we prefer mostly is to talk about the user experience. Now, why AI is important into today's context is because user experience has become the key. So wherever you go, if you have some internal customer, if you are handling the IT, then the generic users of the organization are your customers. So when you talk to your customers, they will also see whether they are getting the experience or not. And that becomes the key now. And nowadays, if you talk about experience only, it's not the day when you say that my AP is up, my switch is up, now I have to do nothing. It's now your responsibility. You check the device, you do this, you do that. That age is gone. So now people are having limited resources. The IT team is very limited in numbers and they have to handle a lot of things. So in that construct, in that context, if someone is telling you directly that this is something, if you will do into your network, it will be taking care of whatever requirement of that user is. So that is where it stands, and you cannot do it just on a single box or on a simple box, I would say, or in the traditional network, I would say. So that is the reason why you need artificial intelligence today to tell you exactly what is the problem and exactly where is the problem and how to solve it. So these are the things which not only saves times, but they improve the user experience to a great extent. And that is where AI is playing a better role, because if I think there was a report in 2019 also by Gartner, which said that okay, if we have if the organizations are putting their money into AI, they are putting it for two three main reasons. One of them was automating the repetitive task. There are so many tasks which have to be repeated every time. There are so many things which people get bored, because obviously as a human being, you tend not to do the monotonous task all the time. So you get bored out of that. So to remove that and to bring in something which can handle the monotonous task, the daily routine task, they have to have some device which can handle that. That was one part. Another was user experience. The third was reduction in costing. I'm not sure if that is helping much, but yes, that was one of the reason. And fourth one was visibility. So these are the 4 5 reasons which Gartner has stated in their 2019 report of why organizations should go for AI. So what Juniper did is we picked up one part only, which was user experience. And the moment we picked up that part, everything falls into place. And we were able to do it through AI only. There was nothing else which could have helped us.
Fair enough. I think that's a quite valid point, Abhishek. You have started with the user experience is the core thing, and automation, and how to reduce the manual efforts and optimize the stuff. So AI is using everywhere. I vouch for it that Juniper is doing a great work in that space. But let's understand with our guests today that how they are doing the digital transformation in their enterprise, and maybe we will like to know more about them and the work they are doing. So maybe let's start with you, Balvinder. So I will like to understand what your core role and how you are envisaging the digital transformation in your organization, what all things you are doing, maybe AI or any other emerging technologies which you are working on.
Okay, so I will start with, because rightly said, Abhishek rightly said that user experience is one of the core area, and I think it's most important factor. Along with that, definitely, I think he has picked up that cost is the last factor, but I believe in the transportation, because I come from the logistic and transportation industry, and in this industry, the biggest challenge is only the margins. Day on day, that the profitability is getting reduced, and the fuel prices are going high, and you cannot go back to customer and no start asking, because one contract is there, you cannot go back to them. To some limit, yes, you can do, but to the larger extent, you cannot go back on a daily basis. Like the petrol prices, diesel prices are going high, and we cannot run with the show with this way. So here, what we have implemented, we have used a big data. We have used, in fact, the entire design was designed by me only. We have used the AI,
Okay.
and the complete system and complete architecture based on the IoT, AI, and digitalization we have developed. And in that way, we try to see to optimize the cost based on the planning of, targeting the route optimization as well as a fuel optimization. So this is the biggest challenge, or this is the biggest revolution. I mean, because I'm pursuing my a DBA as well, doctorate also, doctorate in which I was
Okay.
also writing the same thesis, where without focus on the cost, how you can get a fuel at a reasonable price across the different city, and you can design using the Google, and you can design using the AI platform to see that distribution of a fuel can be done in such a way that you will get a effective price or rates from the different cities where you have the lower price. And those mechanism we have set up in my past organization, that Varuna, and the entire model was just to tell you that the entire model was give us approximately more than 2 CR per month as a saving, additional saving. And this is one of the
That's
biggest
great.
savings I had got in a 24 CR. And right now, I'm implementing the same model in Ritco also. I joined Ritco almost 6, 7 months back, and we have recently we have started showing approximately a 14 lakh of a saving on a only on a fuel amount every month since last 3 months. Which I know that it once we fully develop it, it will start touching more than 1 CR because Varuna has biggest capacity of taking a fuel on a daily basis, whereas they have a less. They are only buying a fuel of approximately 2 CR or 3 CR, and it is per day. So it is only because of the user experience. Here there is a no UI. Here is a no box, but user
Mm.
experience was very important here. So how, and the second was the optimization which we planned. The third was the cost, because we started this because of the cost only.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is I'm sorry, but Abhishek, the here I mean, we started with this because of the cost, and we cannot we want to reduce our without reducing the resources, without reducing no people. We don't want to cut that. So I mean, I don't want to cut those manpower, and we want to bring alignment to at least that net profit can be raised by 1%. And I think we have already experienced and already delivered it. Honestly saying.
Amazing, Balwinder. I think that's a great thing you have optimized, and you have the facts and the numbers to prove that okay, this is the work which is done, which is a great combination whenever we are providing something and with supporting with the numbers. So maybe I will move to Dominic to know your story and what you are
Just
up to these days.
just
Yeah,
want to add, because I definitely would love to share this story over the web also, over the documentary also, because for other industries they can also learn from that and they can also do start saving. But definitely this is part of my thesis. I want my white paper to publish first, then I'm going
okay.
to then I'm going to share everything.
Okay, point
So
taken.
one
We will
point,
not share without
uh,
before your thesis.
yeah, so one point I want to make, Balwinder, it's not that we are not focusing on the costing. We are focusing on that. But apart from the costing, what we meant to say is when we focused on user experience, everything else fall into place. So whether
Yeah,
it is costing or whether it is, completing the monotonous task or whatever daily task, whatever things are there, they were all into place once we focused on customer experience or the user experience.
agreed. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks.
thanks,
Thanks.
Abhishek. Yes, Dominic.
Yeah, morning everyone. So Gaurav, when I look at artificial intelligence, that becomes a very important tool for us for the kind of business I do. Okay, even Sandeep will agree on that because we come from the same background.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, network plays a role for us, but at the same time, digital transformation, AI, ML plays a very, very important thing, especially in the housing finance segment, because your cost comes down there itself. Okay, the more you digitize, more you run a digital journey, your cost comes down. Because today in a housing finance, what happens to acquire a customer? Normal time taken is minimum 7 to 8 days. Like the complete process, right from taking your filling up the form, your documentation, your bank financials, especially in the rural segments. When you talk about places like Chomu in Rajasthan, or in the smaller city Alwar or Ajmer, and these kind of places where I look at, the documentation is very difficult. So it takes normally 7 days for us to acquire a customer. But using technology today, what we have done is we have reduced it to 2 days. So today, a customer, a file can be logged in within 2 days using technology. The complete digital roadmap is being drawn for this. So 2 days you can get a login. Post 2 days, like instead of taking 30 days for sanctioning a loan, we complete it within 15 to 20 days time, subjected to all the documentation and without compromising on the regulatory. So this is a very big digital journey.
Yeah.
For this, you need to have. It is not only the what do you call that, the networks or the this one. Here, artificial intelligence plays very, very important, because once the customer is onboarded and we disperse the loan, the type of pattern, he is going to stay with me for 10 to 12, 10 to 20 years minimum is 10 years for him to stay with me. So during this 10 years of tenure, any one or a check bounce, or if he defaults in his payment, then he turns to be because RBI is very very keen on this, saying that within 90 days any NPA cases has to be reported to RBI, and that particular customer comes under the non-performing assets. So this has become a very, so to maintain this, what we do is the data what we have last 10 years or 5 years of data is used for creating, using artificial intelligence. We try to create a kind of delinquency report. So we start understanding the customer's behavior, the kind of payments, the kind of financial transactions is being done, the kind number of hits is a number of inquiries is raised with the multiple financial institutions. Keeping in mind there is a team which sits and analyzes on that, but for that we use a proper technology, yeah, where we predict this customer after 5 years may turn out to be an NPA, or within 2 years he may turn out to be NPA. So there we start working more on those customers. Start working on here. Artificial intelligence plays a very very important role, because taking the data, using big data, or using these kind of technologies, taking the data from multiple customers, multiple bureaus, analyzing it and putting things in place and see that we don't get into any kind of delinquency. Because any NPA more than certain ratio of NPA, if you're more than 3.68%, if I'm not wrong, as per RBI norms, we are into a they pull a socks off, they pull the license off. So this is the thing which is very important for us. And to support all this, I mean, as Abhishek, to be very frank, we were using Juniper end to end in my previous organization when I was with Max India. The complete data center was built on Juniper, right from your firewall, your switches, everything. Even the, I mean, still it is being utilized. But after moving into this organization where cost was a very because to be very frank, Juniper is on the little bit on the higher side when it cost, but managing it and utilizing the technology what Juniper had given to us compared to Cisco or anybody, it was very very user friendly, and that's what which created because when we were using Juniper's firewall and switches, the throughput and all that what was in a pretty good way. So there we were using Juniper as a main active components. But when I look at artificial intelligence, the customer, again, customer experience also plays a very important role, subject to the background and what kind of data we present to the customer. Today, my company allows the customer, even the rural customer, to access his complete statement of accounts, interest certificate, whatever he wants, he can do it in a self-service. There's nothing that he has to depend on the customer service team or ask for the help desk team to help them out. So in that way, and we do a lot of analysis before we start any branches. Like we study that particular area, we see that how is that what kind of negative impact is there, how are the customers payments, how many customers are, what kind of business, because we are morely funding the self employed here, where people like grocery shop owners, auto drivers, Ola drivers, these kind of customers are there. To understand there, we use a lot of artificial intelligence, and this plays a very important role. And at the same time, network is very very important for us, especially when it comes to RBI compliance, because it is mandatory that every branch, every data center has to have a certain minimum amount of firewalls to be kept. So that's how we work on the digital roadmap. And at the same time, active components like Juniper plays a very important role for us. We still have some of the components which have been used by Juniper in our present organization also. This is my take, Gaurav, from my side.
Okay, great to hear from you, Dominic. I think a lot of technology investment and things you're doing. And as you mentioned, Sandeep, from the same background, Sandeep, you will like to add more to it, and what's different you are doing, or are you also on the same lines?
Well, thank you, Gaurav, for this opportunity, and I'm quite agree with Dominic. We are from the same industry. The only difference is that Dominic's role came after the delivery of the unit flat or a
Delivery
villa,
of the flat. Yeah.
and our task is more before that, right from the land procurement to the material procurement, and then building, and then selling the stuff. So, means what I can say is that if you see before 7 8 years back ago, or let's say after the 7 8 years back, thing was like that. If any technology to be introduced, management first concern was whether it's going to reduce the cost or it's will be increasing the profitability. These two questions were asked at that time. But now the things are changed. Now the management says if we introduce any new technology, what the impact on the customers, what was the user experience, how my internal users will they affected, will the productivity will be affected by this or not, is increased or not, because everybody have a means now things are there like cost reduction and profitability is calculated in the DNA of each and every employee who is working for an organization in a positive way. So what our role started that from right from the land procurement. If you see the Ashiana trend, we usually go for the satellite cities like Bhiwadi, the satellite city of Delhi, then the Lavasa is a satellite city of Pune. Jamshedpur, Jaipur is an emerging city. Jodhpur means Ashiana developed the land or the projects where the facilities are not at the par.
Yeah.
People want to go for an higher living standard, and we capture that middle segment. And to capture that middle segment, you need to have a land which can be procured at a reasonable rate where the profit should not be hit. Then the availability of the material to do the construction at that particular location, and then the availability of other services like telephones, your internet, your water, your groceries things are there. So means everything is been analyzed and reviewed at the time of land procurement. What type of units would be built, how the profitability would be there, if the high rise would be required, or what trends are there in the particular city. Let's say in Jodhpur earlier there were the when we 5-6 years back there was a culture of villa only, means we used to build villa there, but now the people have shifted from villa to the flat. So all these things came from just what the data you have, what type of analysis you do on it, and what type of profitability and what type of long term relationship you want to with your customers. And then came the government, the compliances part. Real estate is the industry which is believed to be a you can say a industry of thieves. People doesn't trust on them that whether you will pay the amount and you will receive your unit or not. So this is also another challenge that you have to go for a customers who want to be with you for a lifelong, who wants a timely delivery. There are certain, you can say, profiling of a customers who just do for the investment part. They don't want a unit to be delivered in 3 years. They want a unit to be delivered in 5 or 6 years, so that whatever amount they are investing into a unit, a flat or villa, it can be gets appreciated. And there are certain category of people who just want as soon as their property to be handed over to them so that they can stay. So we have to run a various, you can say, BI business intelligence we are using in our, and to we identify, we do the buyer's persona, we do the profiling of the customer, whether it's an investor or it's an end user. If it's an investor, what is the purpose of investment? Whether he wants to give it on the rent, want to go for a steady rent income, or he just wants an appreciation of the property. So accordingly, in which city would be giving more appreciation, where they will get a more rental, where they will we have a good environment. And the second business, what we have, the senior living. We have a concept of senior living as well, where we develop a full-fledged project, and the people who are above 55 years of age, they only allowed to live there, and we built a community for them. Person can buy at any age the property, but he can get the right to stay there only after the 55. And we have a very vibrant community over there. Means we have a project in Bhiwadi right from 2000. Now it's a demand is quite high in that segment. Instead of the comfort homes or the younger generation, we have a more demand in the senior living projects. So if you review or analyze the data, you will get the things how market is dynamically changing. And if you doesn't do all this, means don't have any digital record, you don't have the data to review that, means I don't think in the real estate people will survive in today's scenario.
Sure, I think Sandeep, you have given a great insight. So, frankly, when we are talking about this artificial intelligence and data driven, we have some idea in mind that how people are using it. But I love this kind of discussions because, frankly, you have given me a new perspective. I never thought that in a housing industry, those kind of data driven will help you to change the project, the rentals, the people who are doing or all those things. But means we get to know a lot of new use cases. I think this is amazing about all these discussions. Thank you, Sandeep. So, Sanjeev ji, coming to you, and we'll love to have your inputs.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So my industry is totally a different sort of industry from what PS talked about. We belong to a manufacturing industry, that too an automotive component manufacturing, which is very cost sensitive, and it's a very time driven organization where the OEM car manufacturing is totally dependent on our component, which we are supposed to deliver within 19 minutes of the car gets into production by the OEM. So it is very time dependent thing that if in case my component doesn't reach in to the component to the OEM in 90 minutes, the line will be stopped and they will not be able to produce the part. With the COVID coming in between, I think so it was disaster for us because automotive components manufacturing company does not have that much of digitization because it is a very cost sensitive industry where we can try to cut down on the cost everywhere. And in the digitization part, if I really talk about, you have to really put a lot of money in the initial phases that it gives you the ROI after 6 months or so. And with the COVID, automotive industry was the badly hit by the things that we were having no production for nearly 6 months or so, and the things were not there. And now continuously the chip shortage is there because of it. But we took this period as an opportunity for putting everything into the digital platform. We have went into an IT and OT marriage sort of thing that where we wanted everything to get digitized, that we wanted people should be able to see how exactly my shop floor is working. What is my plant versus actual? What is my rejections coming out of it? How my quality is being monitored? Because people were at shortage that there was a restriction that 50% people can only come to the shop floor. And it was becoming a challenge for us to see that how to manage the production without disturbing the line of the OEM also. So we went into a digitalization of a lot of things. We put a lot of vision control cameras onto the shop floor where we were doing the quality things manually. We started doing it in digital form by digital things, then doing analytics on top of it to see how my rejections are being driven. There is a huge cost investment into it, but we are expecting the ROIs to come into within a period of 12 months to 16 months sort of thing where we will start looking into the real benefits of these products. But definitely the quality is going to improve. That certain things when you do a quality inspection on the line, the eyes get habitual to those errors, and then after that you're not able to really find those errors, and it sometimes chances are there that it will pass on to the customer, and which can create a havoc for you because you get rating gets down if quality problems comes up. So we are putting up a lot of digital initiatives into the organization in the terms of on the operational side, so that we are able to automate as much as operation thing. For us, we have a single customer sort of thing or two customers maximum sort of thing. So UX experience is not that important to us if I talk about the customer point of view. But security is a big thing that we have because we have a lot of IPRs of our OEM in with us. The models which are going to be rolled out 4 years from now, or 2 years from now, we have the data on those IPRs with us. So we really need to safeguard all those things so that we are not able to get into our systems and data with us. So all those things are there, and I think the investment on digital front is going on. Now we are also working on to the putting up artificial intelligence into it to do predictive maintenance of my machines, so that my machines doesn't go down. Based on the past data which we have collected, we were collecting data things we were putting up into our databases. So using those databases and then doing a predictive analytics on that, if this sort of errors is coming, then there is a chance that okay, the machine might go down. So trying to use that part, we are still in the pilot stages of things to put those artificial intelligence part for the predictive maintenance, part of the tool maintenance we are working on with that if the tool has done certain number of shots, after that it should automatically get to indicate in case that maintenance is not done, the machine should stop, it should not operate itself. So all those things I think we are trying to put up, and then other things we'll try to do. In the I think so if I talk about the digitization of the commercial part, that we have taken it as a very low hanging fruit, and we already converted all our manual approval process into the digital form, so that people does not have to really come to office for doing all those things. They can do it from the results also when they work from home or where. So these are some digital initiatives which we have taken onto it, and still working on that part with it.
Good to know that. Yeah, good to know that, Sanjeevji. And also, you have touched the right area. The point, the security, which you said, it's required, and the prediction and analysis from the AI basis. I think we are going to discuss a lot on these 2 points. And thank you everyone for setting up the context. Maybe Raghu, I will come to you and like to understand what you seeing the industry trends, like the clients you're working with, how they are on that pace, and what is additional things are happening.
So, hi, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
When we're talking at current landscape, yes, COVID have changed the way technology we used to work with, right? So digital transformation, which was on the back seat before COVID, now it has all of a sudden have taken the front seat, and it is the priority for all the CXOs, and for them it is primarily very important, right, to deliver a better experience, not to the employees as well as to their customer, right? So everyone are talking about digital transformation, which is actually somewhat becomes unhelpful, right? A term which is being used by each and everyone. But whether you love it or not love it, it mandates the business, right? It is time to rethink how the business works, uh, what changes the business does require, what experiment the business can afford to do, and of course we have to be ready for certain failures. We cannot be successful at every attempt. So when for me, when I'm talking with my customer, there are certain few pointers what I have understood. Gone are those days when we were talking about the traditional network, like network, how many switches you have or routers you have, right? Everything is application driven now. So what matters most is how is my application performing, what is my end user experience, how is my application available all the time, right? How can I leverage the alternate mediums or alternate ways to ensure 100% availability of my application. And of course ROI is one of the factor out of it, right? Because nothing comes at a free, it requires cost. But when we are talking about a greater end user experience, all my folks rightly stated that everything will fall in place. So these are the few pointers when we are talking about now today day-to-days conversation with my customers, mostly are on the application aspect, how they can ensure, because application, when I'm talking about application, it is not the dumb application which is can be CRM or ERP. It is backed with AI, right? It is backed with analytics. It is backed with analytics can only run when you have certain applications either on cloud or on prem and a huge lot of data in the backend, right? That's where your analytics plays a pivotal role to give you predictive analysis, to give you how is your OT environment is working if IT and OT are integrated together on a single dashboard. So according to me, these are the 3-4 pointers where my customers are more interested to get into. And of course, it sets the priority for each and every kind of business what we are working with. Gaurav, you're on mute.
Sorry. I think Raghu, yeah, thanks for that. And I think you have put a quite a good perspective over there, IT, OT environment, and also you have put something on the network sides and how people are using the application-based network. And I think that is something I will like to echo on, that network is actually a backbone of the business, and upgrading it on the right forum and the right side is required. So maybe Dominic, you have mentioned that you are already working on the quite remote locations and different areas. How is, you are upgrading your network, and are you already on the SD-WAN or the application-based network, or are we still on the traditional one, or what is the overall look in your areas, or any challenges which you faces from the network side?
Gaurav, we are still on the legacy side, where from the again when I look at the cost, we use broadband connectivity at all my branches, excluding my corporate office and my data center. Okay, so all these branches are equipped with a firewall. Firewall again. These are all next generation firewalls, which is built in with Wi-Fi and a basic LAN switch and all that. So where my cost reduces rather than having multiple things. Yes, we are exploring. We are in discussion with few partners in exploring SD-WAN as a technology, because there is I mean, initially we tested it, but we were not very successful. That was not a very major testing we did, but we are exploring SD-WAN as a solution, because we feel that from the cost perspective and what do you call, high availability perspective, SD-WAN seems to be successful in the banking segment. What a feedback I've got from some of my peer CIOs, I see that there is a this one, because dependency on using a broadband connectivity, depending on the a single individual device, is working out expensive, and there is always a huge what do you call that, downtime happening. I have also have one branch which has been down from last 24 hours, respective of some issues with Airtel. Okay, so we are exploring SD-WAN, and but when you look at overall network architecture, we are in compliance with RBI, because anything, everything has to be compiled with RBI's guidelines, whatever they have released it. So but when you look at my data center, you have the typical what do you call that, in a legacy architecture of having high availability, lease line circuits connecting. Okay, then you have core switches, these kind of things what we are set up and get. But SD-WAN is now top priority for this financial, because it is a mandate by the board also to explore and use more of application based networking technologies, and see that wherever, and I've been given a mandate that I should go branchless operations now, set up a branchless operation, which is going to be a challenge for me. Then I will be in touch with all the good partners, and Abhishek also can always guide us in setting up these kind of activity. Okay, so this is what is present situation, present scenario, and the future. What has been decided in the last offshore meeting has been taken a call that we should eradicate, because yesterday when I was with my MD, he also said the same time, Dominic, you're working out expensive on renewing your firewalls and all that. Now move out of this legacy, come back with some solution where I am cost effective, because affordable housing segment always looks at generating more of what do you call that, profits, because our expense is more. So we try to cut corners and see that we get, and that's technology is one thing where people always try to try telling us kind of get the cost, reduce the cost, get things moving without compromising on the quality, business impact, and the security. Basically, security also plays a very important role for us, because my applications are well secured, customers data is there, what I carry, KYC data I have. So all this keeping in mind, we are trying working out a new solution, which we should be able to come out with some kind of blueprint by the first quarter of this year. Then we start implementing it.
Abhishek, you like to take it from here and want to add some feedback on what Dominic has said, and overall
Yeah.
his challenges, how you can help or something, if your values on that. Yeah.
Yes, of course. I was just thinking, when will I get a chance to speak on this? So what
I
happens?
can make out. I can make out.
So what happens is when we talk about any other SD-WAN solution and the reason of why they are not very successful in the banking segment, they are successful but not very much, because of the fact that they have been tunneled solutions. You have to have a IPsec tunnel when you are deploying those solutions. But the good part is when we talk about the Juniper solution, it's a tunnel-less architecture. The encryption is there, but minus the tunnel. So you are dealing the data securely from one point to another, but you don't have a tunnel. So especially when it comes to your banking transactions, where every second is precious, and the voice solution wherein the voice has to go in real time, and every packet is again valuable in terms of what the other person is saying and what the user experience will be for the person listening to that call. So from that perspective, SD-WAN tunneling becomes a rather bottleneck than solving out the issues. Because what happens is when we go into the tunnel mode, the session is tunneled. And once you have to shift to a new link, when the link is broken or something, you have to break, you have to terminate this entire tunnel, create a new tunnel, and then shift the data from one point to another. So that does not happen when we go for the tunnel-less architecture, because herein you don't have to create another tunnel. The data can change the link on the fly, which has not happened before. And if you will go to YouTube and see a few of our videos, you will find a video where there is a running Zoom call. And within that Zoom call, when the link is breaking to another, when the link is shifting to another link, that Zoom call is not having the impact. The user who is on the Zoom call, he is continuously having a Zoom call without any disruption, or without any interruption, or without any disconnection for even a few seconds to that. So that becomes the key when it talks about the financial transactions or the voice transactions, wherein our SD-WAN plays a great role. Because if you talk about 128T, that was there were two reasons of acquiring that. One is it was tunnel-less. Another is we were able to bring it into our own solution. We are able to integrate it with our own solution of Mist. And today you can monitor your SD-WAN routers through Mist. We offer WAN assurance on our Mist cloud, wherein you can see your routers, how the session smart routers are behaving, how the traffic is flowing and all. And if you want to move further, do some more configuration, if you click on any of the router, it will open the router page for you to do the configuration. So that's the power which we are generating here, because what is happening is this was what our aim was, that we will bring the WAN, the LAN, and the wireless LAN also onto the same platform. There are certain players who are doing it differently. And by differently, I don't mean they are doing something new, but what they are doing is they are doing it in a segregated way. Something else for wired, something else for WAN, something else for the wireless LAN. So this is something which we come up with. This is where we have an edge over others, that we have all everything from WAN, wireless, wired. We have converged everything on the same architecture, and we are able to help our customers to realize the potential of what devices they have.
Sure.
Abhishek, I think just to add one the story. I think we did a POC with few vendors, with technology partners. I think we failed drastically during this tunneling part, because most of our business applications are tunneled. This is
Mhm.
where we failed, and the switchover, what you were talking, when there was a link, Zoom call going on, the switchover also because what happens in a broadband, switching over is always a challenge. Because, and second thing, getting a broadband connectivity on a shared bandwidth to work on, this is where our POC drastically failed, and the confidence on SD-WAN came down, and where
Okay.
we forced the
Hmm.
management to go in for a typical legacy network. I think now you can always guide us in case you have a better
Maybe I
solution.
think, Dominic, yeah. So Abhishek, if required, I'll get you a setup, maybe 30 minutes. After this call, anytime next week, whenever Dominic you are available and
Yeah,
Abhishek you are available,
Sure.
I think you guys can talk in detail
sure,
about
sure,
that
sure.
particular concern. I think that will be a more technical
No, we will be happy to
thing.
help you.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
Okay,
sure.
now I just
I'll
wanted to add, sorry to interrupt, but I would like to add on to Abhishek what you have mentioned exactly. Precisely, Dominic, I understand the pain of thinking of SD-WAN, right? When your management is asking to replace your traditional legacy stuff with a SD-WAN. See, technically, if I have to talk for next 2 minutes, SD-WAN, there is no predefined definition, number one, right? So today, if I am a firewall vendor, my primary USP is security, firewalling, NGFW functionality, right? And I can establish an IPsec VPN tunnel. I built a bit of intelligence on top of it. I say I have a SD-WAN solution. If I am a routing company, I can create an IPsec tunnel. I can put a bit of intelligence. I will say SD-WAN is all about having IPsec tunnel and bit of intelligence. Firewall company will say security, NGFW features are more important, right? But what SD-WAN actually is, people ask for load balancing, people ask for single dashboard. Of course, the primary use case for SD-WAN, what you rightly pointed out, precisely into the financial sector, is to have the end user experience, to have let the application be available all the time. It should perform over any kind of link, irrespective of the underlay or overlay, right? And
Yes,
when we are
yes.
talking about establishing a IPsec tunnel in any kind of solution, it adds a hell of overhead onto the bandwidth, right? Which deteriorates the performance. And the primary motto of SD-WAN technology is to give you a greater end user experience and performance for the applications where you're
Correct.
losing out. So that's where what Abhishek has rightly mentioned, the solution what 128T brings in, tunnel-less, but still we ensure security in terms of encrypting the data which is flowing on the wire. That is where we play a major role. And just to remind, Juniper, I do follow Juniper for a very long time. It is around 17 odd years. But Juniper started with a top to bottom approach, right? They started in telecommunication, then they came into the enterprise. So they know the core very well, how the packet flows into the core, telco core, irrespective of the underlay technology like MPLS, broadband, or it can be anything.
Sure. Thanks, Raghu. I think that's quite insightful. So quickly, I will change from this housing to maybe Sanjeev. I will like to hear from you that in IT OT environment in manufacturing sector, how's your overall your network place, and what is and how you are doing in this network
Okay.
segments.
If we didn't talk about the network plays a very important role for us because, as I said, security is a major thing for us. We have a complete MPLS setup within our own plants, whatever plants we have. So what we have done, we are taking MPLS connections and lease lines for internet connectivity within the plants. We are using SD-WAN for the last 3 years, and it took some time for us to get stabilized on that SD-WAN usage. It does really give us a benefit because the plants are on the remote locations where bandwidth availability sometimes is a big challenge. And what we did that we have taken the bandwidth from two different subscribers, and then after that we are doing the putting it into the load balancer where we are able to get benefit in case one goes down. At least the other thing is seamlessly change over. Second thing is that with the lot of IoT implementations and digitalization of the OT part is going on, bandwidth is sometimes becoming a challenge for us. That when we are trying to push all this data to a cloud-based application for my dashboarding or for my any other digital AI implementation, it is becoming a challenge. Because when you're using a normal commercial application, there is not an issue that, okay, the packet size, you know that how much is the bandwidth going to be consumed. But when you're doing an OT implementation, you really don't know how much data will be generated. If the production is on peak, the production data generation will be very high, and if the production is down, or some machines are down, the data will be not generated. So spikes into the things is a big thing that now what we are thinking is that in most of the cases, broadband connections are available in most of the locations. So what we are trying to do that along with this lease lines and MPLS connectivity, we should put SD-WAN connectivity onto the routers so that we are able to really take the cost benefit also over there, and we are able to see that my bandwidth utilization also gets taken care by this broadband, which is additionally available into this SD-WAN router. So that part is under implementation level, I would say. POC sort of thing that getting the broadband connectivities and put it over there. And after that, we'll be taking the call that how exactly and what data need to be moved to the cloud for AI purposes, because as of now, it has becoming a challenge for us to really push the data. We were moving a lot of things to the edge again, back from the centralized mode for very data analytics purposes. So that is one thing which is currently in progress. But yeah, the data and network is a very important activity for any manufacturing organization, if I talk about.
Sure. Thanks, Sanjeev. I think that's quite required, and having that right kind of synergies in IT and OT environment and putting up the right set of network and policies, required for any manufacturing industry. I think there's a lot of thing in manufacturing which even we do. I have been have a background of manufacturing, and we were using all this augment and the predictive maintenance and overall network, the how the defining and monitoring both the different network is, it's quite challenging, but the right partner will help definitely establish the same. So apart from that, I think the topic which Sandeep has mentioned quite a bit on data analytics, and I guess in manufacturing or any industries also we do a lot of predictive analysis on that part. So Sandeep, my point is when you talk about the prediction, the data analysis and decision making based on that, so how you do? So are you doing the same on your network as well, on the network monitoring, or have you adopted the cloud, or how overall data analytics and prediction management technology, what is the baselining and what you are doing in that space? Maybe more on that I would like to hear from you.
Yeah, Gaurav, see, you can have a data at one location, but when your team is moving in field and your sites are distributed pan-India, across India, where you can say the sites which are at the NCR region, where the sites which are near metro cities or the metros, where you get the better connectivity, but the locations like Halol in Gujarat and then Jodhpur in Rajasthan. So these are the locations where you won't get that sort of bandwidth or that sort of infrastructure in the back end. Means you have to survive on the low bandwidth links. Even at a time you don't get any backup link as well. Means either you have an hotspot or you have a single lease line at site, and your most of the data comes from the site only. Means you cannot have your data entry guys sitting, or your sales team sitting at the head office in Delhi and entering the data. The field, the sales field team or my engineers who are doing construction at site, and the procurement department guys who are sitting at the site and they are receiving the material. Then the quality check of the material, means identifying the vendors who are providing the quality material, who are not providing the quality material, what are the delivery times, whether they are meeting the deliveries at time or not. So you cannot have a big warehouse where you can store the things. Most of the what we are at the time planning to just to implement JIT in our system, the JIT in our construction, so that the just in time we can have an inventory, we can have a material delivered at our site, and we should not have to operate the warehouses at the sites. The challenge with that is that means you have there are pros and cons of the both. At the moment, the rising price of steel and rising price of other construction materials, cement has gone drastically high. The steel is almost double, cement is almost double, and you cannot double the price of your flat. See, you have to manage into that margins. So the data is there. You have to predict from which vendor you have to procure, at what time you have to procure. You cannot believe always in JET also and the current scenario. Management thinks if we had procured or we had put order in past, we could have saved money. Now we are saying that we have to depend on the price inflation. But yes, the data gives us a way to have a negotiated contract with our vendors. When this is the type of material what we would be requiring, what type of material we would be requiring. And same again with the prediction from the sales team that this number of bookings are there, this number of deliveries to be done. So at whatever the cost is, how we can have a better negotiation with the
And
vendors.
what is
So
the
it can be done.
underlying platform you are using for the same? Like, for all these predictions, it's what kind of technology you have?
We are using some business intelligence tools with us.
Okay. And those are cloud-based and
We have moved our ERP and CRM on cloud in the
okay.
pandemic only. But yes, our solution is in our data center only, and maybe in future we will move that also.
Okay. Fair enough. Good to know that, Sandeep. And Balwinderji, how's your take on this? Overall, data-driven analytics and network cloud. So overall, what's your experience so far in all these technologies?
I think if I talk about Gauravji, most of the in our entire industry, in fact, so I'm totally into this, AI and big data, and I really
Yeah.
love that area. I really love that area. So if I talk about what is my platform, let me start with that. So I'm using a Google Analytics, and my entire system is on Azure. So I'm using Azure as my cloud service provider, and because see, we are connected with so many IoT devices. It's more than every vehicle is attached to 2 3 IoT devices. So it is not only just about sending the location. Even we are right now working on a direction that uh, we should be sending the information to the driver in case of any accident to be happen. So I'm not talking about post accident. I mean, if the driver is feeling, I mean, camera is looking it and looks like that driver is feeling fatigue. I mean, or there's a steep turns, there is a steep accelerations, so there's a high speeds. So entire analysis is being done at our end. So we have generated in fact, this has been generated in-house. So we have worked on R, we have worked on Python and Google Analytics, and the entire engine is designed by me only with my entire team.
Okay.
And uh, and because this analytics is very important for us in any case. Single damage will give us only the cost instead of a profitability. So we have to ensure that the cost should be reduced by implementing these areas, and those cores, pillars we want to set up in our organization, so that everywhere from every point of area we cover with a great performance and optimization. So I think logistic industry, I would say maybe the last industry, they have started using all these things. Even not every no every industry are using it. Still, it is a much unorganized industry across all the other industries. So I believe, but there's just so much work in this industry to be done and to bring alignment. Because if you see what is there a definition of AI in a transportation for the other countries, whether you go for the European, America, Europe, or Australia, you will see entire different framework rather what we are using in India. So I mean, in fact, we are just only 1% of 2% of the entire model what they were using it. So I'm sure that definitely with the advancement of AI and all other models, we will going to achieve very soon so much predictability can be generated, and so much value can be given to the industry, honestly saying.
Sure. And I think, Blinder, you mentioned that there's a lot of IoT devices in the automotive industry, and all this data is getting used. So maybe that bring me to the add some more details from Sanjeev. So Sanjeev, so overall, are you using these AI-related technologies to monitor all your network and as well as the inputs and data coming from IoT devices and all those sensors as well? So what
Yeah,
is?
what we have done, we have not put sensors as of now, but what we have done is that we have connected all our PLC-based machines
Mhm.
and collecting data onto those centralized servers, and then we are doing the dashboarding and analytics part of it. As I said, that we are working on to the predictive maintenance part of it, so we are still in the process of getting that things done. But positively for all my shots for the machine, for my quality of data being produced and plant versus actual production, we have already done those things, and that has already gone right. We are collecting so much data currently from all these machines. We have collected nearly 150 robots and machines currently. And so much humongous data is being collected that we now deciding that we have to do massaging of the data at the edge only. And then after that, we need to push the massage data to the centralized server so that we are able to do some uh, meaningful analytic onto that thing, but otherwise it becomes so much junk and
Yeah.
so much data being produced. There's no point in pushing all the irrelevant data to the servers to do any analytics part because at the end of the day, the servers will become slow with so much data being pushing over there, and we have to put a cost also onto the cloud platforms which are not that cheap as we talked about. So we really need to work on that part. But yes, these new tools of data analytics and AI and ML being in there, the future is going to be very bright for the quality, the analytics. The real decision making through data is going to happen because currently we were doing post-mortem, and now I think we will be doing the surgery based on to the real data which is available to you, and you are able to control the things as fast as possible as compared to what we were doing in the previous stages. So it's a good thing which we are looking forward to. Over to you.
Sure. Thanks. Abhishek, you will like to add on this from the
Yeah.
perspective of overall monitoring, data monitoring, and how these things are happening. So
Right. So before the first statements of Sanjeev ji, I mean, when it shifted to Sandeep, at that point also I wanted to say something. But then I
sure.
would like to combine what Sandeep ji, Balwinder ji, and Dominic has said already. So what is happening is we are into when we talk about manufacturing, we are also into the age of IoT. But what is the game with the IoT now? What are the important things that we have to take care when we are dealing with IoT devices? Number one is the authentication or the authorization part. Number two, the policies. It should not happen that a camera is talking to another camera. So, I mean, that is not the way IoT should work. So you have to have the right policies in place and you have to have the right authentication in place. So when we talk about the authentication and policies, we have something called IoT assurance also available with Juniper today. It's in the beta stage, but it's available and it will be soon launched for our users, wherein your IoT devices also can be managed and monitored by the Mist devices. That is something which has not been seen in other segments so far. But in our segment, we are trying to have our customers use this. Some of the customers are there. One of the major electrical scooter manufacturer in India, they are using this technology. They are also using the asset tracking which we have on our APs. We can use the asset tracking feature also on our APs, provided you have a Bluetooth active tag on your device. So what is happening is in case of Sanjeev ji, when there is a 90-minute time frame wherein you have to put the device into the chain of production. So in that scenario, you have to have time sensitive things associated with your component of the entire chain. So when you are stressing on your component of the chain, probably you want to monitor that part every second. And for that, every second, what is it that we are using? Are we using the traditional methods, or we are using the Bluetooth based asset tracking methods, or RFID based asset tracking methods, whatever it is, you have to have that in place as well. Then this is about the IoT part, wherein your micro segmentation is important, wherein you are creating policies based on the devices. You are also creating authentication mechanisms so that your devices can be authenticated the right way. Because the IoT device will not come and tell you that this is what the problem which I'm facing. It will not happen. You have to keep checking it. You have to keep predicting what is happening. But with our system, we can tell you what is wrong with that particular IoT device to connect to the network. And this is what has happened in one of the biggest warehouses, one of the major logistics company. Their warehouses, there were robots which were taking things from one place to another. And then there was one robot which was whenever it was into the roaming zone, it will just stop there. At the time of roaming, it will just stop. It will not roam from one cell to another. So what happened is we did a predictive analysis on that. We ran our dynamic packet capture feature on that. And when it was roaming, when it was moving from one cell to another, at that time, we captured the entire packet and find out that the bits which are required for roaming are not set correctly into the machine, into the robot. So we told the manufacturing company of that robot, they corrected it, and without replacing the robot entirely, just a small programming made it happen that we are that robot started working perfectly well. So we have to see what is happening into that IoT space, because these devices will not tell what is wrong with me. You have to think, and so you need a system which can tell you that this is wrong with this device, and these are the steps we have to take to make the corrections. That is one part. Another part about security also we were mentioning. So everything in our system also is secure to a great extent. Everything is encrypted, whichever is going upstairs. Nothing of the user data goes upstairs. It's just the metadata which is required for the right functioning of the device, which is required for the proper functioning and proper troubleshooting, because we do predictive troubleshooting as well. If you ask my system, my artificial intelligence phase, Marvis, which is the VNA, virtual network assistant, into our Wi-Fi system and into our wired system. If you ask Marvis what is wrong with this component, it will tell you what exactly is the reason. And you can also do a proactive troubleshooting through that. If you are aware that this is the reason why this device is having a problem and what can come up next, you will be able to do a proactive analysis also, and do a proactive troubleshooting as well for that particular device. So these are the two things. The third part is regarding the security part, wherein one thing is that all the connection which is going upstairs is secure and none of the user data is going to the cloud. It's only the metadata which is required for troubleshooting and analysis and give you the right set of analytics. That is one. And another part is there is no parameter today, as Sandeep was telling and as Dominic was telling, there is no parameter today. You don't do a parameter security nowadays. You have to have a wholesome security which is based on SASE, or which is based on some architecture which is capable of handling the entire security portfolio as a whole. It is not that you just set up a firewall and it will do the parameter security. That time is gone now. Because of the COVID, the parameter is existing everywhere. So from employees home to employees workplace to anywhere on the road itself, you have to have that parameter in place. You have to have those policies in place, so that whenever he's connecting in a secure manner to your network. So this is what we have already implemented, and we are aimed to augment it in certain ways. But we have, for the same thinking, for the same way we thought, and we brought everything on one platform wherein we can manage, monitor, do the predictive analysis, do the proactive troubleshooting, everything from one space. So
Sure, I think we should quite a in nutshell. You have summarized a lot of things, and you have brought in the security. And I like to move on to my next step. But before that, Raghu, you have anything to add in this? And
Of course. So Abhishek have given a grateful thought. When we are talking about security, security is never-ending task. And precisely when we are talking about OT environment, most of the time it is one-way communication from the PLC or the SCADA system towards the server, right? When we are gathering data. At the same time, if you build a system which cannot give you a predictive analysis of on by analyzing the data what you have collected, then the system is useless, right? At, but at the same time, if your system is capable of delivering all the predictive analysis, but not in a what you can say human readable format, it is not custom user friendly, then it becomes quite challenging. You have everything, but you don't know how to use it. You need an expert. Again, it is something what an investment what a company has to do, right? That is where Juniper have made a remarkable development in terms of having a built-in AI capabilities wherein you can uh, get the RCA or input about your environment in a human readable format, right? You can simply like Google, you can simply ask the AI bot, which is Marvis, how's my network behaving today, and it will give you a complete view of your network. How if there is a precise user who is having a issue in connecting to the network or any other issues, you can simply ask why this user is having challenges in connecting network. It will give a detailed steps to where are the touch points the user is going through well and where it is getting failed, and probably a reason as well why. So AI is a big topic. Analytics will only work once you have data in hand, but at the same time it should be simplified enough that it will only present a greater end user experience, whether it can be an internal employee or can be a customer as well.
Sure. Great. I think, thank you, Raghu, for adding this. So there are two topics, I think, which out of this is coming up is one is, of course, analytics is there, but the user experience we talk about most, and security as well. So I think, Dominic, you mentioned the points like, how you enhance the user experience from a process which used to be 7 days. Now you have cut down that to the 2 days. So we are using technology to create the user experience, but on the other hand we also need to talk about the security as well. So how you do the balancing in the both? So when user experience is happening, so how the security? So even the trend is zero trust and security on that aspect. So I will love to hear your thoughts on both, how you manage both if you go to the board or you take a decision, so experience versus security.
Yeah, it is a tough question to answer, especially when it goes to the board,
Exactly.
because any investment for technology, when it comes to security, there's always an backdoor. This one, they always say put it at the back burner. We'll look at it. But post COVID has taught us a very good lesson, especially the 2 years. Where it made many people sit at home and where our secured applications were accessed from the remote location without any devices or without any proper you can say MPS secured network. That had made the regulation, because why I always keep telling about the regulator is because we're totally gone by them. Anything and everything, I have to get an approval from them. We have to go as per their regulatory requirement. Yes, certain times we may not go to some 10% we may compromise, but another 90% we still do, because every year there's an audit by these guys. And the time there is a red flag, then that's the end of the career of a CTO as well as the organization to some extent. So when you look at my applications, Gaurav, what we did, we since we are an 8-year-old company with the experience what we had, we always built an application security as a design. That was our topmost priority. Okay, at all level, right from the source code level, application layer level, and the kind of hosting we did. Okay, and this end-to-end company, because my applications are internet-based application. It is hosted purely, and we have our own data center in-house. There we have hosted our application. It's purely on internet, and we have done what do you call that? SSL certification for both my application. Into the source to destination is encrypted, and the servers what we are hosted this application on the DMZ zone. And there is always a replica which has been kept. The two replicas have been kept. One is within the data center. Another one is we use VMware technology here, where we have replicated one of the hosts with the thing. And DR plays a very important role for it. Then when you look at the apps, what we use, again, apps is also security by design is being built, and periodic audits are being done. VAPT is a main. See, normally regulator says 2 years once you do a VAT, but with the present kind of hacking, the present kind of misuse of the application, it is not only the malware attack or ransomware. There are multiple things we get, because whenever we are acquiring a customer, we upload certain sensitive information like your PAN card, your Aadhaar card. All this gets uploaded, and during this transition, during the transmitting from my server to the from the user to my server, there's always a things are man in middle attack. So where there we are a little bit very careful, see that things don't go well. We use an MDN policies everywhere, every device, every tab, and your mobile device. We use a BOID policy where we are using an enterprise mobile management system to anything. And any data which goes out and comes in, the endpoint EDR is very secure. Every device, every laptop, desktops are encrypted with the device, and even the encryption, disk level encryption has been enabled so that we don't lose the data and it is more secured. And in this last 7 to 8 years, we haven't faced any such kind of issues where there's a major breach as such, which has happened on the security part. VAPT plays a very important role for us so that we keep reviewing whether it is both. VAPT is both at all the levels, network level, application level, and the functional level, so that we come to know where all our breaches are there, and on that basis we do it. We keep doing it, and see, security cannot be 100% tightened. There has always be a leakage somewhere where we try to be more proactive. Though we are more proactive, we still get into some kind of problems. Last, I think it's more of I can say breach happens within my network. We have brought in DLPs to secure our internal communications, and even the printouts are very frankly speaking, we use DLP even to check on the printouts. We also that no, there's no confidential information goes there, because property papers plays an important role for us. I give a LAP loan against property, where I have the property papers of the customers with me. If I lose my property papers, then I'm into the major crisis, which I will not be able to answer the
Yeah,
customer.
exactly.
That thing. And
Yeah.
customer experience, all this builds a kind of confidence in the customers, so that whenever they and we are given the option for the customers to review his property papers as and when they require through the customer secured customer login, so that he knows his papers are secured. It is with us only. There's nothing happening in that day. And on the active part, we use firewalls, we use EDR solutions. DLP plays a very important role, and a lot of controls have been done. See, audit plays a very important role for us from the security point of view, because till you don't do an audit, you don't come to know any kind of thing. And we do a lot of DR drills also. Okay, where and sometimes last year we did little bit of ethical hacking. We hired some hackers to check our application to see that how secure it is, and the transmission, end-to-end transmission with we do a lot of these kind of activities. We keep doing it to secure our systems as well as the business applications. Yes, but everything cannot be 100% foolproof. We still face issues which we have to
Yeah.
live with it. There are
Sure.
few things.
I think, yeah, Domini, I think quite a good insights on that. Maybe Balvinderji, as you are doing a lot of work in that space, so have you given a thought to the security and tried to build in your processes?
Honestly saying, lack on that area, and
Okay.
there's a definitely a lot of gaps. One is because of what Dominic said rightly, that no, whenever the point comes in, security always kept at last. So see, they need money. They want earn too fast, but they don't want to spend money. So
Mm,
last year I remember that we started reviewing SD-WAN, and we miserably failed. And now I need to recollect what would be the reason for that. But honestly, we miserably failed and we couldn't able to establish that. But after this discussion, after today's discussion, it really gives me another boost. Let's reinitiate that project again. I'm sure this time I will definitely take out why we were failed, and then we will move ahead with the new things. But to the extent, because we are majorly dependent on the vendors, no, because on the SaaS based product and on the IoT devices, and some of we are doing it internally, managing internally. So I never thought of on that area as well. When after discussing so much, after listening so much from Dominic, now I realize that I probably no, no, I need to look into that area ASAP.
yeah. And I think that is why we have Raghu and Abhishek here, and definitely they will help us and and one thing which I realized from Balwinder and Dominic, your discussion is that as a CTOs and as you said, the board is not approving security. We need skills or maybe the right guidance now that how security can be translated into the user experience and user betterment to present to the board. I think Juniper is doing amazing work over there where they have put all the solutions in a way where the security is established, but also it gives the board that okay, user experience, network enhancement, and things are happening. But on the backbone, security is also getting enhanced. I think that is a win-win situation which we can put together and think. Maybe Raghu, you will like to add something here, and before after that, I will go to Sanjeev and Sandeep to get your remarks on security expect, and then I have a special question for you, Abhishek. After that, so Raghu, yeah.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add to Balwinder sir's and Dominic's statements. Yes, about Juniper, Abhishek, please don't take it. There I durust hai, right? They entered into SD-WAN and few other technologies a bit late, but they entered at the right time after having a learning where the other vendors are failing. See, it is all about why you miserably failed yesterday, last year, probably, Balwinder sir, on the SD-WAN aspect is probably the vendors whom you are talking with, they didn't understood the context and the importance of the business or the applications, what you are trying to achieve. So the primary reason for any technology to fail is that the interpretation what the vendor takes is not correct. And they do take it on their own way. So I will not take much of time. I will say that along with Juniper, we will be happy and glad to help you out in your journey because SD-WAN, AI, these are not a pinpoint solution you implement and go out. These are a long-term solutions where we have to be a part of your journey. And slowly, gradually, we need to do certain changes. We have to improvise our strategy to make this solution best fit for the environment because every environment is different, every application is different, and every customer need are different.
Sure, Raghuji. Raghuji, I recently in my organization, I recently all changed my all firewalls, honestly. So from it earlier it was a Fortinet. So now I have changed to we have modified, we have changed to Sophos, and we have the entire infra has been changed now. So latest technology, latest updated ones. So now whatever the solution you offer me, you have to give on these areas only because all of a sudden the investment, the partially investment has been done.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't go back and again start changing the switches, start changing. That is not possible.
Correct.
So
Sir, one thing I can.
No, it is very difficult to convince some Lala.
Correct. Here, the good part here is that Abhishek and me are from the technical side. We are the consultant and advisors. So we are not here to sell anything. We would like to help you in improving your IT environment, which will give you a greater end user experience.
No worries, sir. Let's meet next week. And
sure.
I recommend if you are available in Gurgaon or Delhi, I mean, probably we can meet somewhere. I mean, if you possible, you can come down to Gurgaon office.
Sure.
I think Abhishek is there from North.
Yeah,
and
I'm
we
in
will see.
Delhi, so that should not be a problem.
Okay. Thank you, Raghu, on that. So, Sanjeevi, what's your take on overall security and with the AI and everything, all advanced technology which are happening, how you rate security and what you are working on, something on that?
Yeah, security, as I told, is a very important factor for us. A lot of important documents of the OEMs lying with us. We are already working on that particular SD-WAN. Already we are working on the XDR currently with some vendors to really implement the XDR part of it. But as Balwita talked about that, all the vendors really need to see that how the integration of heterogeneous devices can be done. People have Fortinet, people have Sophos, people have Palo Alto, people have Checkpoint, you have Juniper also. Everything is there in place. And as of now, the basic bottleneck is that if you talk to any vendor, he says, no, I don't have the APIs ready to talk to the other device, make device, and we have to wait for it. It is impossible for us, like I have 36 plants. It is not possible for me to replace all the perimeter security devices and say that, okay, I'm changing it to this because cost is a big important factor when we are talking about, and it is the biggest hurdle in implementing security in any organization I have worked. I think so. Abhishek knows it very well that I did implement it Juniper in way back in 2008 and 9 for all my 15, 16 clients, changing from one particular guy. But it's not possible, as Balwinder talked about, to changing the devices very frequently. So that one particular thing, I think so. Every security vendor has to really look into it to see. I don't know why Balwinder has to change the Fortinet and then we go to Sophos in case. Sophos was having a API to connect to the Fortinet things, but it was the biggest issue with Sophos that they were not able to give the API to connect the things, to collect the data from these things. And now people are talking another new things is coming out to be there after the XDR, that NVR will be there for collecting data from the heterogeneous things. So that is the biggest issue. We have to really see that we should have an open source sort of things with APIs for collecting all the things. Otherwise, security will never be able to get really implemented that way, because today we are doing so much acquisitions, mergers and acquisitions are going into the industry. It is not possible for you to change the devices of all the new acquisitions and say, oh, okay, then I'm throwing out all those things and then I'm putting in things. So I think so all these OEMs really need to come together and see how they are able to really implement security. Over to you, Gaurav.
Sure. Thanks, Sanjeev. And Sandeep, I will come to you, Abhishek, for the feedback with the Sandeep's point of view as well. So, Sandeep, you want to add on security layer from your side something?
Yes, from my side is that means you can implement security only if you have visibility of all of your infrastructure and assets. Means what type of assets you are having, whether they are updated firmware, out of scope or out of life they are, or what are the location, how soon you are getting the updates from their, you can say the performance of the devices. If you have the visibility of your complete infrastructure centrally, then you can have a better implementation of security of any policies. And then the another point is that whenever you go for any security change, because security comes with pain, and management doesn't want that. Means if you do an if a single login is required at a time just to access a CRM, then sales team would say that their sales would be get dipped only because they need to do one more login, only because they have to scan up their biometrics to secure the data, or may they have to go for the mass numbers. Means you have to do a balance between the what user internal user experience is there, what your external user experience is there, and then what type of security about the business you want to do. So we had implemented quite a lot of things. Like Dominic had said, that regulations are there. Because of this, now the RERA in the real estate means we cannot charge more than 10% until unless the agreement has been signed, and that agreement has not only been signed but also get registered to the registrar, the same way you do the registry of your property post taking the handover. And out of that 10% you cannot spend the whole amount in your business. Means you can take only 30% for your business, 70% for the construction. So a lot of restrictions are there, a lot of compliances to be made based on the data, and then you have to keep that data within your organization only, because a lot of competitors are there who do the false, you can say at time what happens, the competitor do booking and they found any flaw, they go and they put the case on you, and your project get delayed at a time. So a lot
Sure.
of things have to be done, measured. Means in the background, n number of things are there to be monitored, and the cost, then the board. I mean, lots of things are there. But yes, you have to made a balance between the requirement, what you have to secure, and how you have to secure.
Sure. Sandeep, I think quite valid point. You said that security is always when you have the visibility, but I think maybe Abhishek, I don't know, do you have some perspective where if we need to monitor or secure the things which we are not managing or not having the visibility, what is the best practices on that? And also from the zero trust perspective, if you can add some value. And there is another thing from the technology perspective, when I was talking about experience and security, I think in network, we talk about on the one side how to enhance the user experience, and on the other side how to enhance cybersecurity, and combining them together we talk about SASE today. I will definitely love to have your point of view on SASE, that what is getting built on that, and what you guys are doing on that, and is if you think the network, the SASE is the future. So all in nutshell, I will considering the time, I will take it as a closing remark from you as well. So over to you.
Yeah, thanks. I would be a little faster in this section because there are too many things to say. But yes, there are a few important things I should mention. Actually, the idea of software-defined network or security or WAN or whatever it is, software-defined. The idea was everyone will have a white box and there will be a software layer which will govern everything. You don't have to bring, different devices, different customs, different things to the system. You should have one software and it is governing everything. But that didn't work well with any organization, because every organization has their own products. They wanted to have their own specific features onto that product running without a hassle, and they were aware that if there will be a common software, these particular features will not work, they will not help the customer. So nobody went with that idea. So everyone has their own separate secure systems. So that is where we have to see now how to manipulate these systems to best of our benefits. Now, when we talk about Juniper, we have common systems like ATP. We have common systems like SIEM. We have we have a cloud system wherein you can force the policies on policy orchestrator system is there, which you can force the policies on the firewalls of other OEMs also. So that is where we are aiming at. We are trying to make it as simple as possible and we are trying to make it as inclusive as possible. And you must be aware that Juniper is always an open system. It has never followed a proprietary system of its own. So we are open to APIs, we are open to integration, and that is where our strength lies as well. So that is how we are able to um, implement the WAN and the LAN and the wireless everything on one platform, because we were open to integration. And that is where our WAN cloud, which is now WAN assurance, with combining it with Marvis and our other security SASE features of device profiling and host profiling and all those things, we are able to provide you the right solution, which is in conjunction with, like Raghunath said, that it's a layered approach and you have to have the right set of policies, right set of security things into your system based on what you have and what you need. It cannot be just one single silver bullet for everyone. No, it's not like that. The system has to be studied properly and the right controls have to be put into the place, which people like Raghunath and I can maybe consult you on that, and we can help you with that, that what are the right controls into such situations, so that everything runs smoothly and things are secure the right way. So that's what the main message is. We are doing great in SASE. There are a lot of products. Our WAN assurance is based on that. Our SASE platform is completely there. We have a secure cloud orchestrator also for firewalls. So all these things are there. But what is the right fit for you? Because we have collaborations also with other OEMs, with other partners and everything, so that we can sorry, make a secure environment for you. But that all depends on what you need and what should be the extent of it. So what I would suggest is, if you have any particular security questions or if there are any particular concerns, please get in touch with us and we would be very happy to help you guys reach the potential you want.
Thank you, Abhishek, for all this concluding remarks. And from the reach out perspective, yes, definitely. I think Mohini and I am already in the group. And if you have any request, I think we will pass on to Juniper and Inspira to get connected with you. I hope overall it is an enriching and learning experience for all of you as well, Balwinder, Sanjeev, Dominic, and Sandeep. I hope that this 1.5 hour which we have made, and somewhere somehow you must have also gained, and overall we have learned a lot from all of you, and I really like to thank you for joining us and giving this opportunity to hear from you your thoughts about this whole technologies. If any closing remarks or anything you want to end with, just let us, the mic is yours, stage is yours, and I from
No,
my side it's
thank you,
really
Gaurav. I
thanks.
think
Yeah.
that was a good session to talk about with the peers, listening to their experiences and talking about yours. I think we look forward to all our friends to see how they're going to help us in the security journey, because it is a journey, it is not a destination, as we always talk about. So new things always keeps on coming, and we need to really plug out those things with the new technologies to be there. Let's look into it, how Juniper and their teams can help us out in this particular journey. Thank you.
Sure.